a rotting body, a wound that never healed, a stench that filled entire corridors. And in the final insult, royal fluids leaking from a broken coffin, licked up by dogs. This was no commoner. This was Henry VIII, King of England. The monarch who changed the course of Western history, who defied the Pope, destroyed monasteries, and reshaped a nation in his image, ended in humiliation so grotesque it was scrubbed from most history books. But today, we'll reveal it all. If history like this chills you, disturbs you, and makes you think, subscribe. We bring to life the stories history tried to bury. Henry Tudor was born on June 28, 1491, the second son of Henry VII. He wasn't meant to be king. That role belonged to his older brother Arthur, until Arthur died suddenly at age 15. At 17, the crown passed to Henry. And what a king he seemed destined to be. He was everything a Renaissance prince should be: tall, broad-shouldered, athletic, red gold hair like fire under a crown, a courtly wit, a lion in the jousting yard. And most important, he was obsessed with legacy. A Venetian ambassador once wrote, "He is much handsomer than any other sovereign in Christendom, his face is angelic." But beneath the youthful grandeur was a man afraid. Afraid of dynastic collapse. Haunted by the War of the Roses. Terrified that without a male heir, the Tudor line would crumble. That fear would twist into tyranny. And that body, once admired, would become a site of decay. In January 1536, everything shifted. Henry entered a jousting match at Greenwich Palace. He was 44. Still large, still proud, but slower. When his horse bucked and collapsed, the weight of man and armor came crashing down. He lay unconscious for 2 hours. Some whispered he died and returned. But something in him never came back. He survived, but with a leg wound that refused to heal. Over the next weeks, it festered into a deep ulcer. It oozed. It stank. And it never closed. This wasn't just physical pain. It was humiliation for a man whose identity was forged through virility. Now, even walking became agony. And the stench preceded him into every room. Courtiers were warned, do not flinch, or risk death. After the accident, something else changed: Henry's mind. That same year, he accused Anne Boleyn, his second wife and the mother of his daughter Elizabeth, of adultery, incest, and treason. The charges were fabricated. The execution swift. Some modern historians believe the head trauma altered Henry's brain, heightening paranoia, triggering rages, deepening cruelty. The man who once ruled with charm now ruled by fear. He ballooned in size. His waist, once trim, swelled to over 50 inches. His leg, bandaged and bleeding, never ceased to rot. Palace doors had to be widened. A hoist system was built to carry him. He consumed up to 5,000 calories a day, mostly meat, with almost no vegetables. His body became an empire of illness. The ulcer grew worse. Physicians treated it with hot irons, mercury, and arsenic, believing they were healing him. Instead, they poisoned him. The wound deepened. Bone became visible through the blackening tissue. Flies gathered in the folds of his garments. And the smell was unbearable. Some courtiers fainted. Others vomited. But none dared speak of it. Behind closed doors, his screams echoed. Pain drove him to rage. Rage drove him to madness. He had loyal friends executed for imagined betrayals. He alternated between uncontrollable fury and eerie silence. One report claimed he sat for an entire night whispering his dead wife's name, Jane. Jane. He married again, this time to Catherine Howard. She was 19. He was 49, obese, infected, and deformed. He called it his second youth. Courtiers called it revolting. Catherine, trapped in the role of royal bride, turned to a young courtier for solace. When Henry found out, both were executed. Her final words? "I die a queen, but I would rather die the wife of Culpeper." He married once more, Catherine Parr, more nurse than wife. She endured his rotting flesh, his erratic mind, his insatiable fear. In his final years, Henry was a prisoner of his body. He likely suffered from diabetes, severe gout, congestive heart failure, and chronic infections. Some suspected syphilis. Others believed he had Cushing's disease or even MacLeod syndrome. His legs were so swollen they burst. Gangrene set in. Rooms had to be perfumed before he entered. Servants gagged behind sleeves. No one dared say it, but the king was dying. Yet under English law, predicting the monarch's death was treason. So the court played along, pretending recovery was possible, while his flesh rotted on the throne. January 27, 1547. The end could no longer be ignored. His fever spiked. His breath slowed. His body filled with pus and bile. He asked for Archbishop Thomas Cranmer. Too weak to speak, he simply squeezed his hand in affirmation of faith. At dawn on January 28, Henry VIII died at 55. The king who reigned over the Church of England, who dissolved monasteries and created heirs by execution, slipped into death silently. But death did not bring dignity. His size required a custom-built coffin. The embalming, crude and desperate, failed to contain the gases of decay. And then, the final insult. While lying in state at Sion Abbey, the coffin cracked. Fluid seeped out. That night, dogs were seen licking the seepage off the floor. Even in death, Henry's body defiled itself. On February 16, 1547, the funeral proceeded. Courtiers wept. Not from sorrow, but from the stench. He was buried next to Jane Seymour, the only wife who gave him a son. That son, Edward VI, reigned just 6 years before dying of tuberculosis. The daughter of Anne Boleyn, whom he had executed, would go on to become Elizabeth I, one of England's greatest monarchs. Irony never tasted so bitter. Power couldn't save his leg. Pride couldn't prevent the pus. Legacy couldn't stop the leak of royal rot onto a chapel floor. Henry VIII, once the most majestic man in Europe, ended as a grotesque shell. The man who once reshaped the soul of a nation was destroyed by his own body. No portrait, no monument, no prayer could mask that truth. And in that truth lies the ultimate lesson. Even kings rot. If this story shocked you, made you reflect, or simply reminded you how fragile power really is, leave a comment. Share this video. And subscribe for more history that haunts.